The First Descendant Open Beta is coming to a close, and I think I've sunk enough hours into it to give an honest kind of review about the game and where it's going based off the beta, but I will also give some comparisons to the alpha where I can. Of course, I will discuss some story spoilers, so if you want to skip that, then skip ahead to the next section of the video or to the time listed now. But let's not wait anymore and start with the story. The story itself is presented in a pretty good way, consisting of nice looking cutscenes and characters you can invest into with their personalities being somewhat interesting, but the gist of the story is that you are a descendant who can use special powers depending on the descendant. For example, Lepic is basically half cyborg and you can use grenades as well as a literal hand cannon. Ajax is basically a Titan from Destiny 2 with the equivalent of a barricade and a bubble, but also seems to have some gravity effects as well. And thirdly, Viessa basically has ice magic to slow and heavily damage groups of enemies like a wizard from Warcraft. There are more characters in the game to explore with various other powers, but these are the three that you can choose from at the very start. But back to the story, you will mostly be doing battle with a faction called the Vorgen, and these are led by this lovely chap called Carol, who literally looks like he just came out of a Warhammer universe and is 2 steps away from calling in Space Marines. Carol is after certain items of interest known as the Iron Hearts, which we are told there are 3 of. In the tutorial, he gets his hands on one of them and causes a fair amount of destruction to set the stage that it's a really bad thing if he gets any more. The rest of the story content consists mostly of stopping the Vorgen from gaining any more ground and also stopping them from getting another Iron Heart, but along the way you'll meet more characters who plays roles into the main story, like the guide for example, who appears to be helping us along on our journey, but I'm suspecting ulterior motives. Something I would like to be done better is more boss encounters like what we experienced in the tutorial against the Gravewalker. If we could have an instance version of every Void Intercept as part of a story mission, then I would be ecstatic because it means you can fight an easier version of the story mission and then take on a challenging version in a Void Intercept with a group. But that's going to be it for the story, so let's move on to the actual gameplay and how it plays. As far as third-person shooters go, the gunfighting is pretty solid and the abilities are easy to use and also combined with the gunfighting very well. Enemies don't seem to be too difficult to take down even in groups, so if you stay behind cover and you are using the right level of gear and descendant for the area, then you should be fine. The problem with the gameplay is that it feels awfully repetitive when it comes to the activities to progress the story, as it mostly contains missions to fetch X amount of items, or even just killing enemies, or even just doing a zone defense. What would really be a benefit to the maps and also offer something a bit more to do would be to place random spawns of enemies around the map, but not too many that becomes a problem when doing the missions. Alongside that, I would have the more remote areas of the map have elites spawn in that can give better quality gear, or maybe some kind of field boss that spawns in on occasion. That wouldn't be a bad thing either. For the missions in particular though, we definitely just need more variety than just the 3 that we have, but maybe we'll see more variety when the full game releases, as this is only just the beta. My final note would be the grappling hook works a lot better than it did in the alpha, because in the alpha you could only be pulled in a straight line, but now it feels fluid and you can guide in the direction that you want to go. But I think it could use a bit of a tune-up as it feels a bit short to me. A bit of a miscellaneous mention, but I wanted to talk about the leveling as well in the game for both the Descendants and the weapon proficiencies, as I think they've nailed something here. When I leveled a few Descendants to level 40 and got a weapon to level 40 as well, I figured that would be it and they'd be maxed out. I was completely wrong, because you can reset the level of both the Descendants and the weapons by using an item known as the Crystallization Crystal, which basically resets them back to level 1 and gives you the option to set a custom module socket type. This basically allows you to pair a mod with the matching type in the slot that you've selected, and you will have the capacity cost reduced as a bonus. However, if you set a mod that doesn't match the type in that slot, it will actually have an increased cost as a penalty, so resetting your Descendant and weapons multiple times over is definitely worth doing to max out the potential, but it will take a very long time due to the materials needed. This is a big plus to me, because in this regard that means there's going to be a lot of replayability if you want to truly max out your weapons and Descendants. And finally, going over the endgame content, or where the endgame content could possibly go. We've all seen the Void Intercepts, which kind of serve as the endgame content as well as the mid-game content as the intercepts go up in levels. The designs for all the colossal enemies so far look absolutely incredible, and I couldn't be happier fighting them. But what really needs to be looked at is something more additional for the endgame, and yes, I know we haven't seen what the endgame looks like yet because it's only the beta, which only takes you so far, but there definitely needs to be something else alongside the Void Intercepts in terms of endgame content. Whether these are hard mode missions or something along those lines, something that would definitely encourage players to be doing the endgame content would be making it so that they are the only source to get higher level gear when you actually run it. Take for example in the beta, you could only actually get up to level 26 weapons in the story, and then if you wanted to get level 40 weapons, you pretty much had to beat the level 36 Void Intercept and then go and do the level 40 hard one. In my eyes, the endgame should be like that, so hypothetically, if we got to level 80 in gear when you've done the entire story, You should then be able to level up in like 2s or 3s, so the next Void Intercept will be level 82, then an 84 after that, and then when you beat these Void Intercepts or Endgame Content, you will then get the gear to match that level. So if you want to reach the absolute pinnacle level in the game, then you have to do the harder content in order to get it. But that is going to be it for the video. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to leave a like down below and also a comment telling me what you thought of First Descendant. Was it a good beta or was it just meh? And as always, I shall see you all in the next video.